Hey guys, this is Ray from YouHookah, and in this video I'm doing a review on the RR Hookah Tongs. So I've had these tongs for about 3 weeks and I've been using them every day, so I've got a lot of use out of it so far. And I really like these tongs. I think they're excellent tongs. In this video I'll go over why I think these tongs are so good, and I'll also go over certain attributes of these tongs that I think enhance your smoking experience. If you're like many people, you've probably started your hookah journey with something like this. This is your typical 6-inch standard tongs. I like to call them classic tongs. And oftentimes when you buy a hookah, especially if you buy something like an Egyptian online, they'll go ahead and toss these with it. So this is made out of thin metal. It's kind of flimsy, it's easy to bend, but it does a job. It allows you to carry hot coals. Some people go ahead and upgrade to a little more premium tongs and they get something like this. So this is about the same length, but it has thicker metal, so it's a little sturdier, it's harder to bend, may last you longer. And it has a nicer design. Some people may prefer the design of something like this. One thing I want to note is that both of these have hole pokers. Not all of these have hole pokers, but these happen to have hole pokers. Don't get a tong because it has a hole poker. I found that many times, most of these hole pokers are simply garbage. They tend to be too wide, they make holes just too wide, and the point isn't very sharp. So you end up ripping the foil, and even if you do make a hole, it ends up being too wide. So pretend these don't exist if you do have these. So both of these perform about the same. They allow you to handle hot coals, and many people are content with this. If you have quick light coals, if you use quick light coals, this may be all you ever need. But if you use natural coals, then you'll definitely have many more benefits using something like this. And I'll tell you why in a second. So first thing you may have noticed is just how long this is. This is a lot longer than your standard hookah tong. So just next to these regular, what I like to call classic tongs, you'll see just how long that is. So this is 6 inches on average. This is 13.5 inches. Just so you can see it next to a ruler, you'll just see how long that is. So having long hookah tongs is definitely nice. There's two main benefits when you have long tongs. So the first benefit, something I think is very important, is how close you get to your coal burner when you're lighting coals. So when you have standard hookah tongs, you have to get pretty close to that coal burner. Because they're usually about 6 inches long, if you're holding them in the midway point, your hand is only about 3 inches away from the source of heat. And with some of these higher wattage coil burners, you'll definitely get a lot of radiant heat, and it could get uncomfortably hot when you're getting that close to the coal burner. With the RR Hookah Tong, because it's 13.5 inches in length, you really never get so close to the coal burner when you're grabbing coals with it. So definitely a major bonus, and something I immediately noticed as a difference when I started using these tongs. Another nice thing about having long tongs like this is when you do some heat management. So usually when you're smoking hookah, or when I'm smoking hookah, it'll be a setting like this. I'll be sitting back on my couch, and when I have to move around the coals, if I have these regular tongs, I have to lean forward and move them. Usually if I'm just laying back, sitting back, I'm not gonna be able to reach that. But the RR Hookah Tongs, because it is so much longer, I can't easily move that around just by extending my arm. And it's not a major improvement in your hookah sessions, but it's something that it does make a little bit of a difference, and it's a nice perk of having long tongs like this. So another reason I like these tongs a lot is because of the look. They just look really nice. It has a very thick coating of paint, it has a semi-gloss finish, and I gotta say it's a very durable paint. I've been using this a lot for 3 weeks, and there's really no marks on this other than the inside edges where it touches the coals. So because this is touching coals, you can expect it to be black, and because it is touching hot coals, there is some discoloration with the paint, but it's very minimal. So overall, this has a very nice finish. I think it looks really good, and it's constructed very well. It's made out of very thick metal, and it's very sturdy. I mean, if I wanted to bend this, I would have to put a lot of force into it. So this is something that could last you a very long time. Now, something nice about the RR Hookah Tong, it's available in 6 colors. So you can get this in black, silver, red, green, blue, or gold. And the nice thing about that is you can get the color you like, or you can match it up with your hookah. So a lot of hookahs today in the market come in different colors. So I happen to have a red Starburst hookah, so I got a red RR Hookah Tong. And a lot of people like pairing up their hookah accessories with their hookah. So for example, you may have a red hookah stem with a red base, and you'll pick up a red bowl, a red hose. Some people even go as far as changing a tray, so you may get like a red hookah tray. So why not also match up your tongs? So with the RR Hookah Tongs, because they're available in so many colors, there's a good chance you'll be able to match it up with your hookah. And if you like having a theme going with the color of your hookah, then that's something you could do with this. So definitely a bonus with these tongs. Another very nice thing about these tongs is the shape. So the end of these tongs is very narrow, and the nice thing about that is it allows you to move around coals very easily when you're using a heat management device. So here I have a first generation Lotus, and when you're using something like the Lotus and you're putting the coals in, it gets a little tricky to move the coals around, especially when you have a few coals already in there, when you don't have tongs that have narrow ends. Because these tongs have narrow ends, it's very easy to put flat coals in the Stonehenge position and move them around so they're not close to the edge. Essentially, it just allows you to really move around those coals easily because of the ends. If you had something like this, or just some other tongs that have wide ends to them, then it gets a little tricky moving those coals around. You'll see that you end up kind of bumping the heat management device, and it's just kind of tricky to move everything around in there. So definitely a plus that these tongs have narrow ends. Another very nice thing about these tongs is the inside edge that touches the coal has ridges on the metal. So it has this kind of rough surface, and that allows it to get really good grip on the coals. It's something you wouldn't really notice unless you do a test. So what I did is I tested by pulling on a coal on a regular flat hookah tong and pulling on a coal with this. So there are some tongs that are as long, or kind of close to the length of the RR Hookah Tong, but they're flat. They're completely flat on the inside. It doesn't have any ridges. It doesn't have any rough surface to have a grip. So even though these are 6 inches, just pretend you have a tong that's longer in length, but it's just flat. And that's not going to have a very good grip on the coals. So because this is flat, when you grab some coals, putting a good amount of pressure on this, if you pull this, it slides right off. There's very little grip on that coal. Now you may be thinking, well, who's going to actually grab these coals and pull them? Well, no one. But this just goes to show the grip that you have on the coals. And it's important to have a good grip on the coals, because the last thing you want to do is lose grip on the coal and drop it. So if I do that same test with the RR Hookah Tong, it's a dramatic difference. So put regular pressure on this and hold the coal. I have to pull this a lot more than I had to with the flat hookah tong. I mean, I could pull this off if I wanted to, but I have to apply a lot of force. And that just goes to show that these ridges on the metal really provide a good grip. And I can remember a few times where I've carried coals with this. And you should carry coals with a coal carrier, but not everybody has one. And I've dropped coals with this. And no one likes dropping coals. That's the last thing you want to do when you're carrying coals. I really think with the ridges on the metal that the RR Hookah Tong has on the edge, really provides a grip so you can completely avoid that situation. I mean, you would essentially have to just let go of this for the coal to drop. So all around, really great tongs. You know, some of the aspects or some of the attributes of these tongs you wouldn't really realize that as a benefit until you get it. I mean, I didn't realize some of these things until I had tongs this long. So I think they're great tongs. They're priced at $17.99. The only vendor in the US I've seen these in is 5 Star Hookah. If you're watching this video shortly after I posted the review online, you'll see that 5 Star has them on sale for $13.99. They have a summer sale going on now. So if you go on their homepage and go on the summer sale section, under accessories, I think the category is called, you'll find this for $13.99. If you don't see this on sale, you can still get a discount on it if you use the code YouHookah when you check out. That's lowercase with no space. And they'll drop 15% off of no-sale items or non-sale items on 5-Star Hookah. So definitely a premium price. You could get a lot of other tongs out there for a lot less, but this is a premium hookah tong. Not only looks great, but it functions well. The narrow end helps a lot with heat management devices. The rough edges really help getting a good grip on coals. And it just looks really good, and comes in different colors so you can match it up with your hookah. I definitely recommend this one. If you have this product, make sure you leave a review on youhookah.com and let everybody know what you think. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe.